Today, our class is on one of the most important teaching of Nagarjuna, who is also renowned as the second Buddha, which is Letter to a Friend. So today we'll just use one class, and I'll give you the oral transmission today. The oral transmission of Letter to a Friend. If I see any verses that is very important, then I'll share it with you. But due to time constraint, there is no possibility for me to finish all of it. But I think I gave the teaching years ago, and it is already compiled into this commentary, this book. I think back then I had around 20 classes or so on. And that was taught back in 2007. Any of you can remember? Okay, maybe 2008. 2008 August, it was then finalized into this transcript, and I believe I taught back in 2007. I taught for 20 classes back then, but today, since we only have one class, at least I think it's best to give you the oral transmission so that you make auspicious connection with this particular text. I believe this text long time ago, Master Tian Xizai translated into Chinese. It was rather difficult to understand because it was in a more ancient language format. Back in 2004, I gave a rather short teaching on a letter to a friend based on his translation. And I think at that time I also was translating the commentary of Mipa Rinpoche on Letter of a Friend. In fact, there are many different editions or translations. In English, there are over 10 editions or over 10 translations, including different commentaries. There are Nimapas, such as the commentary on a letter to a friend from Mipa Rinpoche's commentary on it, and then Sakyapas and other schools of commentaries as well. There are over 10 translations together with commentaries as well, and other people who didn't publish it as well. So there are many different versions of it. I think this particular text is not really well propagated in mainland China, but similar to Uttara Tantra Shastra as well as Bodhisattva Charyavatara, a letter to a friend is also very well known in Tibetan Buddhism. Despite schools and different lineages, masters of the past have taught extensively on this text. So today I want to share the oral transmission to you, and I want to share it to you as a blessing, as my best wish to you. During reciting this oral transmission, I think I will then also explain maybe some verses. When I then feel it's important, then I will explain the particular verses. While listening to the oral transmissions, as you probably don't understand the language, then you can then read books or hold or turn your prayer wheel as well as chant with your malas and so on, then those are all fine. But for people who don't understand, I think it's okay to do all of those. You can write, you can read, maybe not play with your phone. If I were to chant the oral transmission and you are watching some TV series on the side, then that's probably not good. But other things, such as reading and writing and chanting mantra silently, those are all okay. It's probably going to take about around an hour. This particular book that's published in Chinese, it's inside the catalog of the treasury of sutras and Vajrayana teaching, Sutrayana teaching and Vajrayana teachings. I think it's quite important to use wisdom to. I think we should develop our wisdom. Of course, we need some feelings, and we need to have some kind of feelings, but rationality is very important too. Anyhow, I will then give you the oral transmission now. For those of you who have the text with you, you can read your texts. At the beginning, Nagarjuna then said that the wise one will always honor and bow down to the Buddha statue, though they are made of wood. So too, although these lines of mine are poor, do not feel scorn. They teach the holy way of the Dharma. Therefore, you should not then.
Rabda kapsar tedag susu yi, yondan tsogir jisa chambara yi, geva lelam chibo lidang na, ngagdang yi ki rabda temki jan, changla sopa dogba tevjan, geva yin so ayang, layam ngombra dibram zod, longshido yowar nyambo memkien ne, gerlong chamze chendang ki, Shirnam la, Jimba tsu, Jin Barur Jin, Jinle Zambia Nimchok Mamchi so, Kyoji Tsim Manyan Merman Mod, Mandre Marvak Badam Timburum Zod, Chumner Gidomr Gisaj, Sabjin the Yondan Ganjir Jitin Lobrason, Jindan Tsim Zoso, Santan Dan, Devjan Shirjan Jin, Barur Jin, the Torgamzo Chibi Gamsoyi. Parub chimbar gyaryo gomburum zodo, gangla padang madang chushi be, rigde tsamji, lo kwanab jila laga, dedagam chodo, dedag lamchu chakbar gyarwa dang, lamalayam turin gyarwa laga, tse dang chunkan chikbar zandang na, Changdang dimin zila chakba dang, martam tola gadang lakar dang, gardang chanvi kyabar nam dojang, rabjum zajam, Jizi zamshi pe yanlok gyambon dadag rabdan na, sojong doshu lali yagongwa, shkiba vadame da dagla zubra ki. 这里讲了这个前面就是讲了这个6种睡眠
talks about the 6 kinds
这个
of
作为
remembering.
在家人而言就是非常
As
重要
lay practitioners, I think it's quite important. In fact, why do I want to teach this time?
就是很多不管是
Is
网上听课的或者现场的话
many people who are
也是在家里
listening
教
at
比较
home
多
or
就是这样的
listening
话呢
over here, in
我们作为
fact,
这
the
个
majority of you are
作
lay
为在家
practitioners.
作为在
As
家人
lay
的话呢
practitioners,
那么应该要心持这样的清
you
有术，因
should
为这个清有术呢
practice in such a
我们
way
菩萨是
because
一个在家
a
比
letter
丘
to a
出
friend
家比丘，但是他呢
is
就是为
from
这个热心
Nagarjuna,
国
who is a
讲了这个非
monastic,
常殊胜的
and
教
he
言
taught
就像
this
乃人我们讲
to
的
the
山山
king,
经一样的
King
这里
Gautamiputra,
呢也是作
who
为
is a
对
lay
这个在家
practitioner.
这个修行人来
The
讲
other
也
day,
很
when
重要
we taught
希望
on
呢
the
我们这次就是每一个人
Sigalavada
就一
Sutra,
定要
it was
今年要
also
学
the
给大
teaching
家的
towards
布置
lay
的作业
practitioners. Therefore, I
这
really
个
hope
2019
that
年的
everyone
时候呢
should
就
study
把这
it.
个
So
清有
this
术
is your
要学
homework,
以前我们学会的有些道友
2019.
前面都已经学
I
了
really
但
hope that
是
all of
这
you
次呢
should
你们这个
study
不管是
a
到了
letter to a
现场
friend
也好
on your
或者
own.
说是其他方
So
式
for
听课
those
的
of
人
you
呢
who
今年
listened
要
to
这
it
个
online
一
or
定要学习
present
这个清有术
this year, I
如
really
果以前
want
学
you
过的
to
话呢
spend
那么
time to
现在
study
再次学一
a
遍
letter to a
应
friend.
该
If you
非常
studied
有
it
意义
before,
的我
then
们
just
的
study
藏
it
传佛
again
教很
because
多
it's
人是
very
把清有
meaningful.
术背诵背得特别好
Lots
我
of
们在座
Tibetan
的有些
masters,
可能
they
不
actually
能背诵的
memorized
话
it.
呢但还是你要
If
这个
even if
好
you
好的
can't
一年读
memorize
一
it,
遍就是
at
一年
least if you can read
包
it
括我们
once a
的这
year,
个讲解也好或者是
including the
通过自己的思
commentary
考来这
or
样学
through
习的
your
话呢就应
contemplation
该
and
非
study
常
it,
有
then
意
it
义
will be very meaningful.
所以就把它利用完呢，一般般没到了做着觉得谁那有几吃当用来当，我们平儿见多吃些当当，这个当土把浪错当，往起单位一把。这些呢是我有的是这样的，我们把这边呢是特别搞这多，特别就给就是别了的，给别到的我当单不让做的，刚是看着我们接着也，现在我当单不接着。다와 쩐담 자라 다와 쩐저 다와 남지데 가고 손좀 통든 devşide bijenin dar taraf zomson kato mamjibe joji çobi korku mai ja çovarpan şirmer dobanya da dobra gerve san gejer givji donan di şodo dunde dağbamşi and ye dağnan non çoğun gerdeji kundan zemben çulon nam ke de konzernan bon devrani ki lo semjin chedang sadang do adang ramo jiba tenjer rigbra ki di nane nyomo chenla tangbo te chokte chu do namla tamate gerwi nyanglam babab dimba dang logbar ma dan ki ver namjin Zhang me do ma zang da wei zi na zom ge zhi de li na da ma ba nang ne nang wim tar de men ba da men bim tar de nang ne nang wa ram ta men ne nang wim tar de gang zi ne zhi de nam ji dang bu rum zut 有些是从光明当中前往光明的，有些是
Some
从光明
people
当中前往黑暗
went
的。
through
有些是从黑暗当
to
中前往
brightness
黑暗
from
的，有些是
brightness,
从黑暗当
and
中
some
前往光明的，
then
就
end
是有
from
四种类别
dark
的。
is
我们心
darkness
智善
still,
良的人
while
呢，
some from
也
light
获
to
得了
dark
人
or
生
dark to
可以说
light,
是从光
end
明
up
当
thus
中前
four
往
of
光明
these
的地
be
方。
as
有
first.
些是我们
So
今生当中
similarly,
做恶
some
的，
of
有
us
今生
who
做的
are
有福报有
practitioners,
财富有这个
they
端严的向
started
往
really
等等。
well,
但
but
是呢，我们如
end
果造恶业的话
to
呢，从光明
darkness,
当中去往
and
黑暗。
some have lots of merit to start with and continue to practice on this virtuous route, then that's from light to light. So contemplate which one is you.
们呢，armim revjen marmen bar mendang jarmen men la marmen ja marmen bar nang men la呢men ber nang ji jiban jar tom zot。 我们人也是这个芒果的话呢。
As mangoes, there are different kind of ripeness, just like that. There can be sour yet look ripe, and some, though ripe, look green, and others green are sour indeed. While others still look ripe, and ripe they are from this, know how to act. Similarly to people, some of them, they are very mature and ripen inside, but not really mature on the outside, and some are vice versa. and some are exactly as they are, ripe on the outside and ripe on the inside. And some people could appear in the way that they look very difficult to deal with, but inside they're very gentle and very flexible. And some people are just like the ripe mango, like the great masters or arhats, where they have great and gentle conduct. At the same time, they have really gentle hearts as well. So just as mangoes, you have to open it up to see whether if it's really ripened up. As in India, there are many mangoes in India. So Nagarjuna then used the mango as the metaphor.
도바남의 폰주르지를 제리용보 금빔 제스터 제스터송 대덕 arpanwe tisla da chagjuk ki khorb zoner jikten da da chang gang da wombo chignam chignam stagdam maften yo da gang da ayerngor ja chogo le ger de da le kernam dambo hwawar lagbaran char nimen
How many of you have studied a letter to a friend? Wow, not many. Not good. The ones who never studied it? You should really study it, okay? The ones who never studied it, you have to study it. Okay? The ones that you want to study, raise your hand. Okay. Don't forget it, okay?
lokshik zig jirtrim zijin chimwi nyemba na dewi tonda mela kantanja jivar manjir dedang jawa na dopa na la chikpa ngam chembrim zoda tondam zigbir kir lada ngurnam la sirjin yilla pipi tekum zoda dedang javar yondan damba yi chujin gala shibir malag sogo
There are quite a bit of teachings of cutting off desire. Where it says that whatever kind of person they may appear very beautiful and they study and learn extensively, but once they are depart from the pure wisdom, then that kind of person should not be revered. But the ones who have pure precepts, and this kind of person then should be revered. This is really well quoted. And then talks about the 8 worldly concerns. It's very important. You should really study it. Including the ones who's online. The ones who's online but never really studied it, you should really study it. Because only listening to this, it's really nothing. nothing. I'm only reciting the oral transmission. If you could study it by the end of the year, and I'll give you exams and pass the exams, then this class is meaningful. At the end of the year, I said that this letter to a friend, there were only 20 classes. For those of you who want to study, then it's not much. Here, seven noble wealth, seven treasures of the noble ones: the faith, ethics, learning, buntatiousness, flawless sense of shame and decency, and wisdom are the seven kind of treasures of noble ones, which is extremely important for the mundane beings nowadays, because the defiled wealth is important, but if you have this undefiled wealth, it's even more important. Here it talks about to be content and have less desire. Of all great wealth, contentment is supreme, said he who taught as guided gods and men. So always be content. If you know this, yet have no wealth, true riches you have found. In our time, I think many people have too much desire, too much greed, which creates great disastrous effects to our environment, to our limited resources on this world. In some ways, this planet provides only limited resources, especially for, I think, Buddhists. In this situation should be a model for saving this planet by using only necessary resources instead of using limitless resources with the greed. Because I think human beings are like such. In every era, in every age, it's got different characteristics, but the one thing that it is constantly increasing steadily, that is the greed. Nowadays, with the technological advancement, there are so many things that could make our life much, much more convenient. That's very true. But on the other hand, we've also destroyed so much resources. And the source of it is that we are not content with what we have. In fact, for many people, the wealth and the belongings are more than enough. But they continue to search and continue to look for more and more, which then create great destruction to our environment. I often see lots of garbage along the riverbanks on the way back to Tibetan plateau from mainland. So many garbage along the riverbank. Maybe that's partially because that we Tibetans didn't have so much of a sense of protecting the environment. We never had such education. But on the other is that it's the increasing number of tourists. More than just garbage, it is the problem is actually plastic, because there are so many plastic wastes everywhere. Plastic bag, plastic bowls, or plastic bottles. it takes about 300 to 1,000 years for them to then disseminate, and the effect of these plastic wastes could bring tremendous effect to our environment as well as our health. How so? Because the plastic would then become small bits and pieces of plastic, and that would pollute the ocean. It is the macroplastics. These kind of microplastics, some say that through their analysis, it is said that for people who like to eat fish and all those all those seafood, then they would intake a lot of plastic microbits into their body and would definitely harm their health. In Tibet, we have beautiful blue sky, clouds, and green mountains, and clear water. But nowadays, it's because of the commute is getting so much more convenient. Nowadays, the Tibetan plateau is very much polluted, much more polluted than it used to be as well. The soil, the water, and every aspect of our lives. How did it all happen? It is because people, human beings, are doing this to themselves. So for generations to come, our current irresponsibility, our current action definitely brings detrimental results to our generations, in our later generations. Therefore, I really hope that we should build habits of protecting our environment, including picking up garbage on the way. Whenever I went outside, I'm quite impressed by their way of assorting different garbage. Nowadays, as much as I want to bring that kind of system into our Larungar, but it seems that it's not so possible as of now because it's so very difficult to educate people. And I think what Shanghai is doing is very, very good, that they're actually implementing the rules of sorting garbage. So I really hope that Buddhists in the future, let it be you come from anywhere from the world, I really hope that you could take your action to make actual contribution in terms of supporting the healthy living as well as environmental protection and so on. I really hope that you could do more valuable things for environmental protection and so on. Lots of celebrities, lots of athletes. Talking about athletes, I remember that nowadays there's this really interesting team of runners. They would pick up garbage on the way of running, of exercising. This is wonderful. Therefore, I really hope that we should not throw the garbage randomly. In Tibet, what I notice is that with the increasing number of tourists and modernization, there are increasing number of plastics and increasing number of garbage. Our shops, we should use less and less plastic products such as plastic bowls. or plastic bags and so on. We should then also then we should use a little while we should use a healthy product. A little while ago we had this checkup of food in terms of food security, and they said that our food is pretty good so far. It is then none of them were expired or past their expiration date or of course it's very difficult to find the complete safe food to intake nowadays, but we should try our best to have our analysis and then read into the ingredients and so on, especially those of you inside our Sangha, the monastics who studied in nutrition, who studied in the food industry, worked in the food industry. I really encourage you to then provide more information about how to be healthy. On one hand, we should use and all the medical care and help to make sure that our bodies are healthy. On the other hand, we should also make sure the food that we intake every day is also healthy. So if our physical health is good, then we can benefit sentient beings through different actions without too much problem. If you don't have a really healthy body, then how could you benefit sentient beings? You don't even have such energy. You must take lots of time to take care of yourself first instead of others. Therefore, today I really want to ask everyone to pay more attention to environmental protection, including the water, soil, and air that we breathe. If each of us care a bit, then after after a decade or two, then our environment will transform into a better situation. Nowadays, lots of Buddhists, they kept on saying that do not grasp on it, do not grasp on it, no attachment, no attachment. But when you're ill, then can you not grasp and attach to the pain? Over here, I think it talks quite a bit about how we should practically study. How many heads of the Nagas would have, the more the Naga lords possess their heads, the more their headaches, because the Garuda would then spread the hot sand, just as Patrul Rinpoche said that if you have one box of tea, then you will have one box tea worth of suffering. So if you have one car, then you have one car worth of suffering. You have to fill the tank, you have to pay the mortgage, you have to then all those things. If you have it, it's suffering. If you don't have it, you probably will suffer as well. Some people told me that it's definitely suffering when I have it, but compared to the suffering of not having it, I think it's better to have it still. There are people who told me so.
Tim yer de shira malo nyemger shir malo jabjir malo li lene baji shir ribi do nyember do badam sammo domo torme de ne na martsem dreve meber mavje de janda damber de do ward nur shamda nyarje do dang gar da nyam do de yang do gumzu de ji kuma nyember majir de na ga zamben ji de de tobaran yer do shu ga de dang number of Santa Jibo Ye, Tanda Goxer Tagdan Gidang, Driva Chirno Lanar Kar Nyama Tover, Tagdam Gumbar Jenda, Nyembo Meda, Yonang Surtun Jilim Jumva Le, Gedam Girnanga Chimborte, Tewe Gia Jubasum, Bergi, Lanza Dana Chiang, Yawajan, Rom Kir, Jibi Kungi, Homer Tara, Tejan Dubelena Chunga Yang, Givisava Yang La, Givisava Yang Lam Kimber Godan Yodan Noba. Semdang na nyadang do landang dang de zomdang zhibar nga bo de do gewe no chokba chunkin lagbram chen zot ne tatang sonji do dang jamba dang dang zi shirab chum chok nga dang na de lam don sonjim do jing da dang na to wang jibi zimur gira lo nar gan che zhara dang na de jinda le na dab kar jibar mandi ji tertir yangdang yangda semna na de yanyimbur go ne yangma njir Kartem Tori Tarva, Ngon Jidna, Yang Tala Kumba Nyutum, Zud, Ganzak Lubber Tava, Lukshit Yang, Tamchit, number, Mamba Mazder Dan. Kartem Tori, Yang Tala.
If we want to have the merit of human and God realm, then we have to have the right view. If one has only wrong view, even if he practices with virtuous deeds, but the fruition would be rather full of suffering. So wrong view to practitioners is that right view to practitioners is extremely important. Some practitioners, they don't believe in the three jewels. They don't even have the right view. They don't even have any happiness towards the good actions of others. Lots of practitioners, they have many wrong views towards their sangha, towards their guru. In such a way, then, if you have such wrong view, if you harbor such wrong ideas, then it's very difficult for you to attain liberation. And even falling into the three lower realms, that would be quite horrifying. So to eradicate a wrong view is quite important.
Stava Pong Churva, Zigna Dagma Yinji Ganson de Zigdam Mordan Zigla Dagni Mina Dagla Zimana, Ne de Division the Pombo Hagmajian, Tontogi, Pombo Dorger Lena, Tin Lemon, Ranjan Lemon, Nubu, Lemon Ba, Wangshu Lemon, Meda, Janman de. Messi le dans télé John regam zoda tsatam tarjim chongzang rani la shinje lobr la dans te zomda kund jorwan da zonam da ye zhongjer gongga lobram jen zaji dara da la ralen de na jenje choje jiryang mamchi be tu dang tsatam sangtun damba yi dembar number jilam batmaram zoda lagba tsatam lagba shera da lagba semla tagda Ibragi Labagya Sar Ngapchil Hana Sambo Tane Nana Yang Dabraji Wangshile do Tamba de Soji, Robachi Lambda Never Tana, the Navjam name number of Tromji, Tamba Nyambe Chugan Jubran Jera, Tsena, Nodman Lunkup Tapa Ichi, Vijam Martana. Wu Ngam John Nilo Niki Lobali Sakum Kang Ten Mumser Chen Tsena Noman Tapa, 我们书面是危害很多，就像是被那个风那个吹动的这个水泡一样。
In fact, has so many causes that could then end our life. It's full of many risks, and this life endures no more than a wind blow bubble in the stream. How marvelous to breathe in and out again, to fall asleep and then awake refreshed. While we're sitting, just imagine how many people are dying right now. I think it is even quite rare for us to fall asleep tonight and tomorrow morning we'll be able to get up. That's very rare. When you wake up in the morning, you should then think that, oh, how marvelous, that I actually woke up in the morning.
这边要可能我要就讲一下事情了，不然这次。
Later, I didn't make a short announcement.
사금 강로대로 옴스르치 림타 타르와 타르금은 타르득 타마르 막상 냠보 맘지베 넘버 적당 녀버 데라데 소소지 주잔듬 김브름 조도 사당 흠보 잠소 님마든 바르비 쯧비 리전드 더장 타르와 양나 리버 만저나 신드 냠총 마스타 무전 차르 데르트 더근 마스터도메테 잼멤고메 니밀라던 코르와 치성 냠보 메발레 멈축교기 특능 용어름 조도 잠소 지은의 냐상 우가당 리전 차파 레경 던조레 머니치 토고 가베 모왕거 담축교비 딤짐 치브름 조도 강식 세르노 런침 제바 이 나티 저버 규바 때베나 강식 머르 제니 득바기 규바테나 때 치에 럽 른보 른발라가 덤버 제르 예르나네 바다 찌어 담바 템바 찌어 담바 라나 템바 담 더니 럭브르 소놈기 코르도 쳔보 르네 졸람가 게비시아니 템바 참브르 쇼도 용수도 바트베 송 디셔르 찌어 담바 템버기 저라 텐네 랍트 mambo 제와 토 로버다간 진동 던조 던 예당던 녀라 제와던 야립가메 바던 다고도 플라우로 제와 렌다 렌저 쿠바던 하체 체랑 하니 건 롱와 지 찌어지 마콤 쭝게 보 때더 저콤 니네나 찌어 로비 라던 바브름 조도 데윈도 바 퐁당 치와던 나던 가조 등을 또마임 존인 코라라나 교브른저 데이니 바심바 zambrım zoda pana vanyada mana chuma nyada kiwo jarjir vanya shinda logban nyadan chiba te ladan kura tagna ngibir hkamam chi 레레 잠소 질레 럭바이 고만 통데 다동 소소이 기울지즘 장변 고라레 데비 주마 녀더람 조르 잘 레레다니 리비 폼보는 한번 년바 데니 데저데 메이 메이 터음타 야츠 시그 점어 장장 만어 야신지든 조고 저네나 레디 공거 처리양 사탄도 고로지라녀도 내장은 코라도 점반이 던저럼 토리보모는 마르케 발라 럭버데와 연람 뇽니 라르 냐르버는 더 저도 왕위 전거지 럭바신도 몹즈도 년절로 ርከ음베르베 네버데 조나 흠부르폴라 연람 네네나 라리안 메머르 롬뇨 야 예르드 몹즈도 보냐 gencerlo toribo monjon ronshanga ta rnabrimzin sar son semba ye damarati dancer na arnamje kanlo na la chod to beranger tarkim baba la mono domzir sergi pama tan jigbe larian yarvichu mebern zago Zolok chetsen jing tsar lo hayerin do de shin de chimbo dang tsani de chakzhar dewa tobne lar narmed mei vashang ju ba yi dengwer jimmen chabra dan tsar lo.
I think each and every verses are so important, but I don't have time today. Maybe just finish chanting it or reading it first. Is it raining?
Nima dawa nyotoba rangli jang go jinjik ten tamchir nang shira de lar yang mam nak tag magda jer ne na rangalag ba kyang ka mam thong jer terter nomber jer sir sonum na nang sim marme na wa rap ji sha chig ben nima chig jin nima dawe mabz man nam thai nang den jing tsar lo semchen ni ba ke ba kyo ba la yang su tig na rap da chawa dong din jum ngom bud narmin la so bi nyar nam sir tag da dong jer 가직 떨어진 습대 대비진 오전 체마주 집모전도 체마르 로고 체마르 로 체마르 로 가직 소렌 자르테 가직 소렌 자르테 대비진 전 다리 무즈 소노 남기խ 대비장 현당 초치 지와이 커와 바라완 추바드 프로듀드 카직 직디 사르장 람바라완 세와 세 세르마잔라그도 디브르듀 카직 직dim 체와 담바이 담비체 뜸봄바점 럭바남드 장 원메도 잔다 직음처 nom보이 셈모 무즈 담비 카르남 토고 카직 쯤르와 나조디 下章章文去让吃这个让他们是嘛就是去准备再不是给讲这都是没很多，好像这个藏文很不好念。
It's very difficult to read in Tibetan.
카지 점을 나조 당对카지 덕면 바르비 추고남스 김메 제버 라프트 카양전 카지 찌글렘시 장친도 슈 지금 제기 종즈도 제전도 득전 우용 거바 잠지 그 디지 처럼 줄는 언야르와 이르드으로 자리에 투니 남동도 문지 강로 도르지 람전노
In a letter to a friend, it talks quite a bit about hell realm. There are lots of description of the suffering of hell realm. In fact, nowadays, even some of the documentary and some movies, it shows lots of the suffering of human realm, such as modern technology and chemical.
有一些怎么讲可能不能这么说吧，就凡是有很多的东西吧，
Lots of these kind of causes that would bring the suffering towards the human realm. The suffering is just like the suffering the hell realm beings experience, such as nuclear radiation and so on. Lots of Westerners talk about how they don't really like to listen to the teachings on hell realm, but in fact, there are descriptions of hell realm, including that's already included in the Western society, such as in Christianity and so on. Maybe the details are a bit different. The Confucianism and Taoism are very similar to Buddhism as well. Also talks about how after someone dies, if they fall into the hell realm and how they would suffer. Lots of young people nowadays, they have quite a bit doubts about whether if one would suffer after death or would fall into hell realm or not. In fact, it's quite horrifying once you get into the hell realm. So in Letter to a Friend, it talks quite a bit about the suffering.
구브르메지 차량 모포도 데르들 등을 신도 머즈로 시합자 청냠섬 용에나 저트 먹기 마즈티면 저데 저단 바브르멘제로 먹기임 제वन 더는 사원 링의 지 닙치 초기는 지네데라 더즈면 맘치 데르들니는 쌀김 바브름 조도 돈주 께네 나양 소바당 장당 덕소 등을와 진지로 개와르방와 남란너 억지글라 억지그자 신도 머즈바 카지 머드 와르당 리바당 샤당 뻑비 쳇던 체월은 여러 오메잔도 도벨라 적당 적지인데 바도바데 여노라는 도벨 봉와이 예비등을 gem마자 진천은 지바 제꿈 장조 가당 지바이 개바신도 머즈 땡서로 카지글라는 카피 머그 잠라 또아르또 잠기 지바니는 막상 나보와 종즈의 장 처림도 담바 마로서 카지 퍼리 리 샹제르테 달리 샹도 감바스타버 러 카지금 산장 칸이 바르바티 가정 상진반에 제진 바비 카르 바바 시만 차르 마드 르 가나 나던 치사던 처소 막상 와요 머니데 판슨너 돈돈 소밤 좀발레 바바 중화문비 나서로 여더 남나 소키 디게너 다와온 사와 근너 니마자 존샴제 메인저는 더더나 대바잠지 혼용 깜버는 게르 버진 메버등을 되네자니 바제베비빌레기 저 자비빌리라 가지로 나통도던 트리용 침은 게르 데르트 예더 남기 나속비 등을 록지 토브르 강락바 대이진 기원 종가 세르남 파가만 락버 산디송 토리 라용 대친 대덕근 전부 등을 년의 대회장 데르산네 양르 남기는 잠들 토리 플라드 제 게드 리지 카동만 등 여러던 단라마가 메도 정아냥 고라芝麻 장당 리라는 원천 메비던 중 집기밤 토린 전부 좀 기은처대가 라이로네 빌하는 람종때 자동만ным 치브른 겨와다 좀 그렇게 빈처때 남담 저 타인 직된 땅내 포발라 가르테게위 럭만 가메나 텔레 왕메도 던조 여더다 냐라네 바강 롱르는 게르 하면은 떡나 랑진 다지 这个我们这个庆祝当中呢，就讲到了
Now
整个人间的痛苦，
talks about the suffering of
地狱的痛苦，
human
恶鬼的
realm,
痛苦，
hell
这个
realm, hungry
天
ghost
界
realm, as well
天
as
界的这个
celestial
痛苦。
realm.
得外面等着一道当年让那边到那样容人觉着他们到那样让人家还有呢花儿当时的一门等着被带到路当但被主啊一这被顶板通啊满起做。 코라 된자르 벨 하마다 냐라 예도 던조 남더도 티아nom보 말르 티안 노파트미 노지르 랑킨 조도 무고금 쿨라 로르 메쇼르나 테도 로기 찌파 타니 양 양트 메브르 기슬 반서티 테위 침추고 구바 거전맘치 他这里说是，如果我们的头或者是我们的衣服上，如果燃起火来的话呢，那就很快的时间当中，迫不及
Clothes
待的马
or
上要
our
把它
head is now
所以我
having a
们
fire
每
on
一个
it.
人呢，就是为了
We
端
would
出我们的
do
这个来
anything
世
to
啊，
get
就
the
是
fire
不要
out.
在轮回当
So
中
just
断
as
绝
that,
一定
all
要
of us
就
who's
这一次
dwelling
当
in
中是要
samsara,
解
we
决这个
should
问题。所以呢，
resolve
我们断出这个扭
the
转轮回的这种来
suffering
世
in
的
this
话呢，
lifetime
那一
and
切
do
的
not
境界当中
postpone
呢，
it.
要值得非常努力的要去修行。
This is the most
此种
important
特等
thing.
上的写入记，娘的把热得这么比公朋门个门去，人们才了撒起梅龙尼达这图做的，站当去了接当送机当，干当现在相当当人真，当你们的都想去养了的。 娘的托比的给给比给出了写入没不上等有门的上等没不样的写入没的更了等你有把这把也讲说那个就是他们词儿就没有智慧的话，那就是禅
The
定。
ones without wisdom, there's no way to meditate, and without meditation, you won't have wisdom either. So, for those of you who have both wisdom and meditation,
很快就干涸就
the
变成
ocean
了
of
这个
samsara is
什么
soon
这
to
个
be dried out
就地下的这个水一样的，就
and
很快地
become
把这个轮
the
回的大海
water
干干
of a small
我们
pond.
等不就等呢，你们年纪老松刚了个吧，得到南拉港上边没就得。 te yulo na jivra jib ma laga maruk bali te na tele na nambra jiba tele mandang zigrabam jong tele kimchi chigde tele na ragba kundam jong ra tabe son ragba le na tsura kum jong te tsuru jele chepam jong ra njer chepa lemba kepa njerwa te tele chepa chepa kewa da kewa yo nam nyong 가당 도배 본반 치던 지그 소지르 등으로 본보 신도 짐종때 스케어 거벤 더니 거버는 게르 땡점 저름 종 게르와 익순금 조직지바 잠몬도 근근더니 양덕음 통화디 상디 녀的日被 남조금 통 这个元气法呢，就是如来的这个
the teaching of cause and the cause and conditions and the teachings of auspicious arising, then that is the most important teaching of the Tathagata.
종 금종 야친데 던곡바나 타르알라데 톱짓 기발란럭 get데 럭 데르터 박법 덴바 즈보 따감 통어를 기비 라터 떡존기 빵나 화락니 쳔바 남기장 시바 뇽모 초 레브거지 강덕 추문 기바데덕냥 남레 와파 말럭 로토 진 사름 레톤 말럭 데덕 군 뇽모 딱 뇽모 르글레 소수 키오르 베 냥다 자와 망더 수르진 차르 판베담거는 돈본들럭데 쿄지 트드름 조직 존든지 셈느 추지 싸와 럭버럭송 쿄라 데르크더 담바 강럭바 veper geslon gijan kiperka ndala kanjik shobo ngo te yondan tamber kitse ton yodum zode kenji gewa kenla yeran jan niki lagbar shadnam rnangsam yang sangje nyetub jirla de yongu ne tele gewa pongbon de kyod kiwa pagda me par lama yin jikten kenji rnam juro wamza ne pagba shan zi wang shubai
So, a must-learn letter to a friend. For those of you who call yourself Buddhist, if you never study a letter to a friend, then it's such a shame. Lots of people who are present here, they never even studied it. Last year, someone who passed away, the Khenpo who passed away, he relied on Phuntsok Rinpoche for over 30 years, and he asked me to have lunch with him, and he was reciting letter to a friend. He kept on memorizing it, and I was peeking through his window, so he was memorizing letter to a friend. He passed away last year. Khenpo Raka, that's his name. So Tibetan Buddhism is not just listen once and that's it. It doesn't mean that you have to recite it, you have to continuously to repeat it. Do not only study because you have exams. You have to willingly do it yourself, to study it yourself. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's really no one that's more authoritative than him, than Nagarjuna. Therefore, Nagarjuna's teaching, where he then put all of those teachings, condensed all the teachings into this letter, is so meaningful and essential for all of you to study. If I ask all of you to study because I'll give you exams, and you will do so to then finish the exams I give you, this is not the proper way of learning. It is that you have to have the longing to study yourself. You have to have such a sense of eagerness for knowledge, for the Dharma. Today, in fact, this last few days, whenever I go up and down the stairs, some people are exhibiting lots of enthusiasm. They would grab me by my arm and they would cry and all of that. I don't really think that's the best way of training a teacher. What is the best way? The best way is, in fact, that you generate the enthusiasm towards knowledge and towards the Dharma. And some
有一部分人呢，
Buddhists,
就可能以前就是
a
各
group
方面
of
的原
them,
因呢，没有系
maybe
统的学
they
习，
never
没有系
really
统的学
studied
习的话呢，那么
systematically
就是
due to different
展示
reasons.
的这种心
So
性倒是足够的，
temporarily,
心
they
性
have lots of
可是这
faith,
种心性呢，
lots of
没有
devotion.
就是智慧
But
的
that
这种
faith
依
is
靠，
not
就
based
他很快
on,
的时间当中
on
会
wisdom.
退失，知道吧？
Very
对不对？
soon, that
如果
kind
我
of
们有了智慧的依据
that
的话
kind
呢，
of
那么就是
devotion
可
will
能会
fade
退是
away.
退，但是呢，
If
不能
you
够
have
永久啊，就所以
wisdom,
这个
however,
佛
then
教的这种
the
这个修
devotion
行呢，
won't
就是
fade
应该
away that fast
学习很重
and
要，
maybe even
闻思很重
increase.
要，修行很重要。这样以后呢，
Study
就
is
是自己就
important,
长期的。 为
contemplation
什
is
么我们现
important,
在
and
佛教
same
中
as
啊，
practice.
有相当一部分人是
And
做
you
了
have
一
to
段
do
时
it
间当中就
persistently
是
for a long
学不
period
下
of
去了。
time.
原因是什
But
么
a
呢？
group of
就是自己没有
Buddhists,
品
what
尝
I
到真正
notice
的
is
佛教
that
的教
they
育。如果
can
你
only study
品
for
尝
a
到佛
period
教
of
的
time,
教育
but
的话呢，
they
那
can't
这个
really
法也
persist
不会
for a
舍
long
弃的，
period of
上师
time.
也不会
Why
舍
is
弃的，
that?
老
It is
成也不
because
会舍
they
弃的，
don't
自己的
really
这种传承也不会
they
舍
don't
弃的，
really
就这
have
是绝
that
对的。比如说一个人就是他对
that
自己的
systematic
这个事业
study,
就是胸有
so
成竹的话呢，
they
那他就不会轻易的，因为他自己已经得
don't
到利
really
益了。他
understand
自己
and they
没有
never
得到利
really
益的话呢，到一
had
定的时候
the
呢，他就混不
benefit.
下去
Just
了，
as
就随意的放弃。
the worldly
这也
people,
是一
if
个自
they
然规律。
once receive
所以我
some
们
kind of
现在
benefit,
这
they
个
then
今天呢
will
就是这
willingly
这个
continue by
就不完全
themselves
这个是
without
短
much
短的时间当中
pushings
给大
from
家
other
算是
people.
一个加持，算是一个
Today,
祝福，
I'm
也
chanting
是一个
this
祈福吧，
oral
就是
transmission
通过这种
as
这个
a
传承，因为这
blessing,
个以
as
前上师
my
有一
good
宝看
wish
过，
to you.
所以这个传承很亲近的。然后我也
I
是
received
一方
this
面就是给
transmission
大家
from
这样的
Ponso
这种
Rinpoche, so
心态
the
呢，就是这
transmission
次
that I
是
received
我
is
们
really pure, therefore I'm
我去
passing
年
it
前年
on
的
to
话呢，
you
就是
as a
也是
precious
要求就是
gift.
有，比如说中观帮忙论呐，就是我们
Last
这个
year,
10
I
年吧，就是
requested
也这
people
个大
to
家这样学
study
的。那今年的话呢，
Nagarjuna's
我们有一部分人学过，
adornment
就
of
是确实是
Madhyamika,
我们这个在
and
做的
this
道友的
year
话呢，我最早的
I
以前
know
呢，好像是在那个也是
I
是那个
taught
是
this, and many people studied
是
it
这
a
个
while
当时
ago.
那个比较古的那个那个当中也讲过一遍。后来我翻译完了以后呢，07年
I
04
taught
年
it
翻译
once
方言
based
集以后
on
就
the
开始
very
翻译的，翻译完了以后。
on
本来是发往
a
那个
different
当时
person's
讲的
translation,
无
and
诸
then
菩
I
萨的这
taught
个
again
无诸菩萨
after
行的这个
I
善受海嘛，就是但后来
after I
就是
translated
发往那
that
个没有
as
讲
well
成，就
as
是报信人
commentary.
没有讲完的时候，时间延期了。后来我们就开始这个
When Ponso
也
Rinpoche
是
passed
讲
away
讲过
during
一些
his
这个关于
teaching
就
of
信的
Uttara
方面
Tantra
尤其
Shastra,
是这个切入
he
说呢，就是
wanted
第二
to
年就开
then
始
teach the
翻译了，就是这
extensive
个应该
explanation
记
of
得是14年
Bodhicharya
吧，就是
Vatara, so I was
这里
also
就是
translating that.
翻译过，但是最
I
关键是什么
then
呢？就是
translated
现在我们在座的
that
很
one
多人不要
at
认
the
为
same
以前
time
听过一次是
with
亲友
a
说，
letter to a
我看我们
friend.
今天有大概这个有
I see that only
15%吧，
about
就是有没有听学过的，
15%
就是
of people
15%
studied a
15%
letter
可
to
能没
a
有，
friend,
刚才我
maybe
看
not
据说的
even
时候就
15%
好可怜
who
啊，
are
就是人很
presenting
少
over
的。
here. Very
所以说
little.
今天我还是应该值得讲，对吧？
So I think it's really worth it.
총네 나르가 노치가 제당당 서데든 상계정의 존된데 오호메당 자버는 직된지 군부르께서 호도메 버름 조도 시럽 수중동 종 적진 지마 메드 하이르 남카 땅나 사스탄 gemzat네 살람 머던 투리 하는 나총 초데가 니버랍다 gemzat데 뇽모냠탁 셈친 쪽진 직제당 셔와 점즈들 야리 홍보 니니니 니도 니네 직된 렌데 망점 질라 므니바 므제 농바 므니 꼼팡 니버름 조도 시비 장 이거 로혼 박박 르접지 르게르오 데슈라 거르바 조소 르게르짐 캄보 스란자난 대가당 지친지 로자와 반데 화르츠기 게르장 지데 단라 파파고 我们以前是已经用了20堂课。
I think we used 20 classes.
这4句没有念。
Oh, I missed this 4 stanzas? 4.
对，这个很重要。
This important
关
one.
键的一个都没有念。Nyara pribam tongdang tuba dang zhandang lagdang zigsi bibinam yang jigba tevri tirna muzbi nanman 娘是牛儿木脚骨，那个这个都是让背诵的。
This one I can recite it.
但是刚才我想，
But
怎么这个寄送的还碰不到？结果我
how come I
掉了。 就是意思就是说
didn't
我们
read
这
it
个
through?
这个
Anyhow,
看
this
到那个地狱
verse
啊，就是
talks
地狱的
about
这
how
个妙化的这个像，
when
或者
we
是听到
see
别人讲那个地狱的痛苦啊，就这个时
when
候
we
呢，我们
see
都
and
是产
hear
生非常大的这
the
个恐怖啊，就我们
suffering
说
of hell
寺院呢，
realm
有时候庙会的时候呢，
or
就
the
看到一些地狱
depiction
的
of
像，包括现
the
在的
hell
一些
realm
就做一些动画
of
就是漫
the
画，这样的
mural
话呢，如
of
此
a
如此的
temple
可
or
怕。那
animation
如果我
or
们真的转
some
生到
kind of
这样的
visual
地狱的话
depiction
呢，那
of
这
hell
个怎么
realm.
能
Once
描
you
述
see
啊？就
such
这是
hell
也
realm,
是非
such
常非常
suffering,
重要
you
的。
should
我们是
contemplate that
真的
if
依
I were
靠，
to be
因为我们
reborn
的
in the
信
hell
件
realm,
很
how
重。
can I
我
ever
们来到
endure
这
such
个世界
suffering?
的时候呢，
For people who have
就像可
grave
能有些人大
wrong
多数都
view,
是你的教育当中的是好像没有天堂，没有地狱，就是没有
lots
什
of
么这
people
个
who
三
grew
宝，
up
没
in
有
this
这
society
个
never really
三有
studied
三宝一
the
恶有恶
heaven
报的
realm
这
or
种意
hell
念都不
realm
存
or
在等等。
good
这
or
样
bad
的
or
这种
three jewels.
这
They
个
grew up in
教
such
育
kind of
当中成
environment,
长
in
的话
such
呢，
kind of
你确实是
education,
有一些怀疑啊
then
这样的。但有些人的话呢，就是山根都比较丰
it's
厚，
normal
就是
for
从小都是
people to have
随
lots
心
of
一
doubts.
步，然后呢，就是知道自己在这个趋势上面就是
But
很
many
重视的。
people
所以
also
说
born
呢，
in
我
a
们也
family
尽
where
量
they
就
taught
是
a lot
跟到
about
这
how to
个趋势
choose
因果的道路
between
啊，
right
就是地
and
狱的
wrong.
痛苦啊，
Therefore,
天
it's
界的
quite
这种
important
接
for
受
all
的
of
快
us
乐
to
啊，
then
这样
study and
这样以后
revisit
呢，
the
虽然我
knowledge
们
of karma
不能
of
100%就
the
是所有
cause
的
and
行为都是如理
conditions.
如
Of
法的，
course, it's
这
very
一点
difficult
呢
to
是
make
确
sure
实
that all
很
of our
难
actions are
但是呢，我们犯了
according
什么
with the
错误啊，就
correct
是犯了一些
dharma.
这个参
But
生一些
whenever
烦恼
we
的话呢，
have any
也不用害怕，
afflictions,
就是这是
whenever
对凡夫人来
we've
讲，这个
made
是
any
非
misdeeds,
常
do
正常的
not
这个事情。
then be
有些人啊，
afraid
我好可
because
怕，怎
it's
么
very
办呢？我
normal.
就
Do
学了
not
这
be
么多
that
年的佛，现
fearful
在还
after
是
you
不
make
断的产
such
生各种
mistakes.
不好的负面念。
Many people told me that,
其实每个人
what
的
should I
这种
do
可能习
after
气啊、
studying
善
Dharma
根
for
啊，都
such
是
a long
相
period
同
of
的。
time? I
但
still
是
have such
我
afflictions.
们
What do
真
I
的是
do?
拥有就这样的
In
信仰的
fact,
这
we
个，
have
就像我昨天
the
讲的一
very
样的，
firm
我们其实
habitual
能够
pattern that's
有了
passed
这
on from
个对
lifetimes.
释迦牟尼佛
And
这个
now
信
we
产生
have
信
this
心，
faith
至少也
towards
是我
Shakyamuni
们不
Buddha.
会轻
At
易杀
least
生啊，就
we
我
do
看
not
这个众生
kill
的生命如
others
是如是的宝贵的
easily
话，
anymore
至
as
少
we
也
used
是
to
不会
do.
拿起刀子
At
来这
least
个
whenever
直
we
接来
see
这个
sentient
杀众
beings,
生。那这
we
样
do
的这
not
种
use a
这个
knife
善
and
性
kill
的话
them.
呢，就是在我
So
们这
this
个
kind of
空部的轮回当中是非常非常的难
this
得啊。
kind
就
of
所以呢，大家
virtuous
佛教徒
deed
也不要
is in
认为
fact
啊，我学习
already
就是好
very
像没有什么
precious
境界
in
啊，
this
我还没有证悟
terrified
大圆
samsara.
满呢，我还没
So
有
when
这
you
个
are
证悟
not
大圆满
enlightened,
呐，
when you are
其
not
实
or
学习过程当
when
中
you
也
have
不能
not
这
achieved
个
any
那么的这
realization
个
of
对自己的要
Maha'ati
求
or
高，有些
Mahamudra
是可
or
能有些
Mahamudra, do
前
not
世的这种习
be
气比较
so
好的人而言的话呢，
repentful, do
可
not
能修
feel
行
so
确实是立竿见影的。
shameful.
但我们对
Because there
大
are
多数的凡夫
practitioners
人来
who
讲呢，生生
have
死死
great
的习
merit
气就比
from
较重，
before.
然后自
They,
己就是
of
就
course,
不
their
断地产
practice
生
would
烦恼，
progress
产生痛苦啊，
very
这种是
fast,
非
very
常
swiftly.
不要逼着他，没事。
Do not force him. It's okay.
我们每一天都是有一个
Every
歌
day
手
we
来
have a
唱
singer to be present in our class.
没事，马上讲完了，让他哭吧。
It's okay. We're almost done. Let him continue.
这样的，我刚才就是所讲的一样的，就是我们这个
Just as I
现在
said
就是
earlier,
作为佛教徒的话呢，也不能特别的
as
失望，
Buddhists,
就是产生一些
we should
烦恼，
not
产生一些
feel
痛苦，或者说
so
是自己
depressed
就
all
是
the
在某些
time,
观想
to
就
have
不能
lots
成
of
功的时候呢，
afflictions
好
because
像
we
对
can't
这个三
succeed
宝没
in
有
some
信心，上师没有
visualization
信心，
and feel
对
that
自己没
I
有信
don't have
心
any
就是
faith
这样就
or
不是
start losing
很合
faith
理的。
towards the three
学习
jewels
确实是
and
很
losing
漫
the
长
faith
的，
towards
在漫
yourself
长的路
because
当中，我
this
们这
is
个应该是
just
做
a
的呢是这个
process.
积弊不
The
能。
samsara
有时候
is so very long, and you cannot take one gigantic step and step over it. You have to take small steps all the time. Do not feel, do not lose heart if any little things happen. No matter what, you've already encountered the wonderful teachers as well as the lineage and the teachings. You've heard the name of Shakyamuni Buddha, you've then encountered the Maha'ati, you've already chanted the King of Aspiration. Even one person who chants this is of great merit. Don't even mention so many people chanting at the same time. That merit is immeasurable. In this information age, if we don't have all of this technology, it's very difficult for us to carry on with our class, and we can rely on this technology, and we can then chant the King of Aspiration all together, and that merit that generated from so many people chanting at one time is already quite great. You may think that you're not successful in your career, in your marriage, in your family, in your wealth. You have so many negative outlook on yourself. In fact, I really think that all of you are very successful already. Why? Because you have eyes, you can see the Buddha statue, you have the ears, you can hear the name of Shakyamuni Buddha, and you have the faith in your mind. And so all of those are already quite precious. You already have this well-endowed body that could be called as a precious human body. Previously, I taught 20 classes. Each day I would teach for about 1 hour and taught for 20 classes. Today we only have about 1 hour to then went over a letter to a friend. So this is really worth it because it's easy to listen to one class rather than listening to 20 classes. After King of Aspiration, I have a short announcement. It's a wonderful talk, wonderful announcement.